Yo, what's going on, guys? Today I'm going to be doing my Week 13 lineup review and recap. Going to talk about some of my Week 13 lineups, recap the slate, talk about the players I was on that did really well for me, and maybe some guys that disappointed. We'll look at some of my DraftKings lineups, mostly my single entry lineup that I actually did do some single entry this Sunday. We'll look at that lineup. We'll look at my 20 max, some of my 150 lineups, and then we'll talk about my 10 lineups that I played over on Yahoo. At the end, we will also cover the Showdown slate for Monday Night Football between the Redskins and the Eagles. Try and get all this done in one video and get it out as soon as I can for you guys. Before we do get started, though, guys, I would appreciate it if you would drop a like on the video. If you enjoy these review videos, just let me know. It seems like you guys have been enjoying them. So I do appreciate all the support. Leave a like, subscribe if you haven't already. And if you do want to comment anything down below about how your week went, any plays that you were on that did well, that did poorly, feel free to comment anything down below in the comment section. But yeah, let's go ahead and look at some of my DraftKings lineups. So this lineup you see with 6 entries. This was the lineup I played in single entry contest. I decided this Sunday that I was going to play a single entry lineup, that I was going to actually, build a lineup by hand, put it in some single entry contests. And this is the lineup I landed on. Kind of was a pretty solid lineup. I had Cam to McCaffrey stack with Phillip Lindsay, Brandon Cooks, Chris Godwin, Julio Jones, Eric Ebron, Spencer Ware, and the Giants D. It was kind of a chalky lineup, I guess you could say. Cam was pretty popular. Lindsay was somewhat popular. McCaffrey was very popular. Godwin was kind of high-owned as well. Really the low-owned plays, or at least the low-owned guy that I liked for this Sunday was Julio Jones. I landed on a lot of Julio by the time we got to Sunday. Just thought this could have been an eruption spot for him. I knew a lot of people were not going to play Julio because of the matchup with the Ravens. But the Falcons were at home where they just put up points, it seems like, every game. Wasn't the case, though. I was watching some of that game. Matt Ryan really didn't have any time to throw. Just couldn't hit his targets. Julio, I believe, only got 2 catches, or even I think he had 2 catches for like 18 yards or something. Just a rough day from Julio. He killed a lot of my lineups, and especially this single entry lineup was actually pretty good. Pretty much besides like Cooks and Julio, it was a pretty decent lineup. I guess Spencer Ware wasn't great either. But that was my single entry lineup. That managed to salvage most of my day. I had like a minus 5% ROI on DraftKings, so I guess I pretty much just broke even. It really wasn't a terrible week, wasn't a bad week either, though. I did hit on some good plays this week. I had some Todd Gurley. Once we got the news that Kareem Hunt was going to be released, I knew Spencer Ware was going to be a good value play, and I wanted to get exposure to him. He just allowed me to fit in a lot more studs, so I was able to get a lot of Todd Gurley, a lot of Christian McCaffrey, which worked out well, but also paid up a little bit of receiver for Julio, and that did not go well. But mostly at running back, I played the top guys, played Gurley, McCaffrey, Spencer Ware was my value play I liked. I liked some Lamar Miller as well. Didn't play a ton of Carlos Hyde. Once we got the news Spencer Ware was going to be the running back for the Chiefs, I knew I didn't need as much Carlos Hyde. I think I had him in about 20%, which honestly was probably too much. He only got 3.7 DraftKings points. I think he just had 37 rushing yards or something. Not a good day from Carlos Hyde. But if you played like Hyde and Ware together, you pretty much could do whatever you want. Like you see this lineup, I had Hyde and Ware. I was able to get Mahomes to Kelsey. Was able to get Brandon Cooks, who didn't have that great of a game. Same with Kenny Galladay, but still top tier stud receivers: Cooks, Galladay, and Julio Jones. So that lineup, even though it didn't cash and didn't do well, still allowed you to fit in a lot of studs if you went with Hyde and Ware. Might have been getting a little bit too cute going with both of those value plays, but I did do that in a few lineups. But my 20 max lineups weren't that great. I think I cashed like 6 or 7 out of 20. Wasn't a great week, at least in 20 max. Like I said, my single entry lineup that I played in a lot of the mid-tier stakes single entry contests was able to salvage a lot of my winnings. This lineup putting up 171. But we'll scroll through some of my 20 max. Greg Olsen, or tight end just in general on this slate, was a position I totally whiffed on. I did not have a lot of Travis Kelce. I was way under the field on him. I think I had him in like 10% of my lineups, which was just not enough. I had him projected highly. I think I had him in for like 20 fantasy points, but the receivers in like the 6 to 7K range, I also had projected very highly. And I had Ebron projected as like the best tight end play. So he just popped in a lot of my lineups. I got a lot of Ebron at tight end. If I had to go cheap, I went to Matt Lacoste, who didn't even get a catch. I think he had 1 target. So had a tight end, or I had a donut in some of my tight end spots. Lacoste was 2,500 though, so even if you got 0 from him, honestly didn't kill you this week. This was a weird week where a lot of guys busted that you wouldn't have expected, like Julio with just 3 points. Greg Olsen got hurt, just 2 points from him. I think there were some other receivers like, Kenny Galladay didn't have a great week. Adam Thielen, just 13 fantasy points. So it was kind of a weird week. A lot of the top-tier receivers did not do well. But that's pretty much it for my 20 max lineups. Talking about each position where I landed, quarterback mostly played Cam and Patrick Mahomes. I did have a little bit of Andrew Luck and a little bit of Jameis Winston, but I believe my top two quarterbacks were Cam and Patrick Mahomes. I think Winston was right there with them. It might have honestly been Cam, Winston, then Mahomes. Can't remember, but those were the quarterbacks that landed on the most. A running back, Spencer Ware was the guy that I had a ton of. He was so cheap. I thought the touches were going to be there. I believe he got like 12 touches, which honestly isn't great. I was projecting him for a lot more than just 12 touches. He did get 12 DraftKings points. He did get into the end zone once. He actually got more than 12 touches. He got 15 touches that game. He had 14 carries, 47 yards. Also got a reception, 5-yard reception. But 47 rushing yards from Spencer Ware. It wasn't a great game from him, but at 4K, he just allowed you to do so much, fit in the studs you wanted. But in the lineups where I had Ware, maybe in like my flex, I paid up for a lot of Gurley, a lot of McCaffrey, and a lot of Saquon Barkley. Did have some Hyde as well, but not a ton of Carlos Hyde. Receiver, if I paid up, mostly landed on Julio and Odell. Those were like the stud receivers I liked. In the mid-tier, though, it's where I found a lot of my plays. A lot of T.Y. Hilton, a lot of Kenny Galladay. I played in the mid-range. And then value-wise, or had some T.Y. as well, but value-wise, Chris Godwin was like the value receiver that I really liked. Once we got the news Djax was going to be out, that put me on a lot of Chris Godwin, Adam Humphries as well. I thought Godwin and Humphries were going to see a few more targets with Deshaun Jackson out. So I played them in a lot of lineups, and they were pretty good value plays. Humphries had 19 DraftKings points. Godwin had 24. Both of those guys did well. But yeah, that's probably it for receiver. Tight end-wise, like I said, this is the position I really whiffed on. Mostly played Ebron, Greg Olsen, and Matt LaCosse here. Did not have a ton of Travis Kelce, which obviously was one of my biggest mistakes of the week. It's kind of what cost me this week, not playing a ton of Kelce. The defense landed on a lot of just cheap defenses. The Chiefs, I played the Giants in some lineups. The Packers, mostly cheap defenses I played. Usually don't try and go too expensive at defense, but I think that's it for my DraftKings lineups, at least my 20 max lineups and my single entry. So now let's move over to Yahoo and quickly look at these 10 lineups that I played. Was surprisingly not a good week on Yahoo. I've been killing it these last few weeks on Yahoo, but was not a good week. Did not hit on a lot of good plays. Had a lot of Julio over here, which did not do well. Also had a lot of Kenny Galladay, who was not great either. But this lineup, I felt really good about this one. Was Jameis Winston, Barkley, McCaffrey, Julio, Galladay, T.Y. Hilton, George Kittle, Spencer Ware, Giants D. Did play the Giants D in a lot of my Yahoo lineups, which was the one thing that went well for me. But that was a pretty poor lineup. This lineup was very bad as well. Matt Ryan to Julio did not work out well, but still had Barkley and McCaffrey, who were okay. Brandon Cooks, Kenny Galladay, played LaCosse in this lineup with his donut, Spencer Ware, Giants D. Next lineup, I think this lineup just came short of cashing. Jameis Winston and Mike Evans stacked with McCaffrey, Carlos Hyde, Kenny Galladay, had Antonio Brown in the Sunday night game, Eric Ebron, Spencer Ware, and Giants D. Next lineup, I think this lineup did cash, maybe. Yeah, this lineup squeaked into the cash. Andrew Luck, the T.Y. stack with Christian McCaffrey, Carlos Hyde, Julio Jones, Odell Beckham, Travis Kelce, Spencer Ware, and Giants D. Only played Kelce on one of my 10 Yahoo lineups, and this was the one lineup where I did have Kelce. The next one's Winston to Evans. Played a lot of Winston, as you can see. I liked his price a lot on Yahoo. I had McCaffrey. I think I had McCaffrey in every lineup, but McCaffrey in this one, Carlos Hyde, Cooks, AB in the Sunday night game, Kyle Rudolph, Spencer Ware, Bengals D. Next lineup, another pretty bad one. Winston with Barkley, McCaffrey, Julio, Galladay, Julian Edelman, Kyle Rudolph, Spencer Ware, Giants D. This lineup just fell short of cashing. Had Marcus Mariota with Corey Davis, had that Mariota to Davis stack. Todd Gurley, McCaffrey, Julio, Galladay, Matt LaCosse, Spencer Ware, and Giants D. Another big mistake on Yahoo was not having a lot of Todd Gurley. I think I only had him in like 2 or 3 of my 10 lineups, and he was only 14% owned. With a lot of value this week, I know the value was all at running back, but with all the value there was this week, I should have probably played a lot more Todd Gurley than I had. But that lineup did have Gurley, but still didn't cash. This lineup did cash. This was one of my better lineups. Had Jameis Winston, a Godwin stack with Gurley, McCaffrey, Kenny Galladay, Julian Edelman, David Njoku, Spencer Ware, and Giants D. And then my last two, this lineup, not great. Cam to McCaffrey stack. Had Barkley, Galladay, Mike Evans, T.Y., Matt Lacoste, Spencer Ware, and Giants D. And then my last lineup was a Cousins to Rudolph stack with Todd Gurley, Christian McCaffrey, Kenny Galladay, T.Y., Edelman, Spencer Ware, and Bengals D. So those were my 10 lineups on Yahoo. If you guys want to get on Yahoo, my referral links are down in the description. If you want to join through me, it benefits both of us. I would appreciate it. It helps you out as well. Yahoo does have some pretty good contests. They have an 80K contest they run pretty much every Sunday with 10K to first, so you can win some pretty nice cash over here. I've come close to winning the 10K this year. I think I've had 2 teams in the top 10 so far this year, or like the top 15. Come close, but didn't come close this week. Was pretty bad. My best team in the baller was like 700 out of 9,000, so it wasn't a great week over here. But let's go ahead and move over to DraftKings now again and look at this showdown slate between the Redskins and the Eagles. We will quickly go over this showdown slate, look at some roster constructions, talk about the player pool, the guys we want to go over. Right now I'm recording for about 11 minutes, so probably want to get this done rather 4 or 5 minutes. Don't want the video to be too long for you guys. But we'll start at the top of the player pool. Zach Ertz, most expensive option. He's $11,200. If you plug him in your flex, if you play him at captain, Zach Ertz is $16,800. Zach Ertz, if you can pay up, is definitely captain worthy on the slate. The guy's giving you one of the highest floors pretty much out of all tight end positions. Him and Kelsey just continue to produce every week. Ertz, I'd probably pencil in for 8-9 targets here. He's going to get you 10-15 DraftKings points minimum. And Ertz has for sure shown a big ceiling this year. I like paying up for him at captain. We'll see if it's viable, if you can do it. There might be some cheaper captain options we can go to, maybe like a Josh Adams at 8K. But I do like Ertz if you can fit him in. Then you have the quarterbacks. You got Wentz at 10.6. You got Colt McCoy at 8,800. Colt McCoy, just his price tag, I think, makes him interesting. And with it being a one-game slate, you could definitely go to Colt McCoy. So I think he makes sense maybe as a captain to go a little bit as a cheaper captain off of Ertz. Josh Adams would probably be my favorite captain, though. He's only 8K. He's pretty much solidified himself as the number 1 back for the Eagles. Listed as questionable, but I have a feeling Josh Adams is going to play. I do really like him here. Just too cheap for the volume he's getting now. Had 22 carries last week against the Giants. Also got 1 target. He's not involved a ton in the passing game. He did get 6 targets against the Saints, but he's not like Alvin Kamara where he's going to get like 8-9 targets. He should get a few targets, though. The carry should be there. He's the number 1 back now for the Eagles. I do like him a lot, especially in captain where you get a lot of savings. So let's take a look at a lineup we can build with Josh Adams in our captain spot. Plug him in. He's 12K. That pretty much would allow us to fit in Zach Ertz if we want to go to Zach Ertz. And then we could maybe play one of the quarterbacks, whether you want to go to Wentz or McCoy. We'll go to McCoy just to see what salary we can save. If you want to pair with McCoy with one of your receiving options, I think there are options you can consider, especially Jamison Crowder. If he's able to go, 5K for Jamison Crowder, if he's going to be healthy, I really like him here. Probably would play him with McCoy. If you do that, that leaves you $6,500 remaining per player. Doubt we could fit in Wentz. If you wanted to go to Wentz, it'll leave you $2,400. You could play Vernon Davis, Capri Bibbs. Don't feel great about those plays, but you could still plug Wentz in this lineup if you wanted to. But let's see if we go a little bit cheaper. If you want to fit in maybe AP, that leaves you $5,600. So then you could play Nelson Aguilar if you wanted to do that. If you go down to Golden Tate, that leaves you enough to get up to Trey Quinn. I don't really like Trey Quinn here, especially if Crowder's back. But if Crowder misses, Trey Quinn at $5,800 makes sense. So you could plug him in there if you want to play Golden Tate in your fifth flex spot. But I do like going up to Wentz if you can, and then maybe playing Vernon Davis. Vernon Davis, even though he's the number 2 tight end behind Jordan Reed, he's still been getting targets on a weekly basis. You don't really know how many targets he's going to get. 4 targets last week, Thanksgiving against Dallas. 2 catches, 73 yards, and a touchdown. I believe it was like a long 50-yard, 40-yard touchdown of Vernon Davis. Obviously, if Davis gets in the end zone, he's going to be a good play at $2,400. So you could do that lineup right there. A lot of upside. You got both quarterbacks. You got a running back with upside. You got tight end. Probably the guy that has the most upside on the slate in Zach Ertz. And then you have Crowder, who thinks a little bit underpriced if he's going to be the starting receiver. So I do like going with that lineup a lot. Let's see what we can do if we plug in Ertz in our captain, see how we can build a lineup around that. Probably going to be hard to pay up for Wentz with Ertz in captain, so let's try and go down to Colt McCoy. Like pairing him with Jamison Crowder, like Josh Adams a lot as well at 8K. That leaves you 5,700. If you wanted to play maybe Golden Tate, that would leave you enough to get the Eagles D if you wanted to play the Eagles D, even though I don't love they got priced up to 4K. Chris Thompson's down there at 4,400. If you plugged him in, that leaves you 7K, so then you could play Josh Doxson at 6,800. You could do that lineup right there. It's going to be interesting to see how Chris Thompson is involved. He's been pretty much out of the game for a while. I believe he hasn't played in like 5 or 6 weeks. Last game he played was Week 8 against the Giants, and this is Week 13, so Thompson hasn't played in 5 weeks. We'll be interested to see how he's involved. But at 4,400, you don't really need a lot from him at that price tag, so could definitely be a value play. Him and Crowder both feel underpriced, even though they're coming back from injury. They feel a little bit too cheap for their upside. I think it's probably getting too cute, but if you wanted to play like Crowder or Thompson in your captain spot, like I said, that's probably a little bit too cute, but let's just see what we can do. Let's see if we went Crowder in our captain spot. Could definitely pay up for Ertz and Wentz. Could probably get Josh Adams as well. That'd leave you 6,350. If you wanted to try and get Colt McCoy in there, that'd leave you 3,900. You could play one of the kickers if you wanted to try and get Colt McCoy in there. Maybe if you went down to Alshon Jeffrey, that'd leave you enough for the Eagles D. Probably don't love that. If you went to Jordan Reed, that would leave you enough to get to Chris Thompson. So you could definitely do that lineup right there. If you felt better, or if you wanted to go down from Jordan Reed to like Adrian Peterson or Golden Tate, then you could upgrade from Chris Thompson to maybe like a guy like Aguilar, or if Crowder's out, you could play Trey Quinn. But I think that's a really good lineup right there as well. Has a lot of upside. Obviously, playing Crowder in your captain spot's not something you do in like a single entry contest. If you're playing a lot of lineups, maybe you do that just to see what it allows you to do, to see what kind of upside you can get out of the other positions. If you're playing like single entry cash games, would probably recommend you play Ertz in your captain, or like Colt McCoy, maybe Josh Adams. But yeah, I think that's it for this Showdown slate, guys. Try to go over this rather quickly so I could get this video out in time for you guys to watch it before the game starts. Hopefully you did enjoy the Showdown analysis. Hopefully you enjoyed the review as well. I do appreciate you guys watching the video. Make sure you click the like button down below if you did enjoy. Make sure you subscribe as well. I would appreciate it. And if you have any questions, you can always hit me up on Twitter at the DFS_GOAT, or feel free to leave any comments down below. I will comment back as soon as I can. But yeah, guys, good luck on the Showdown slate. We'll see you in the next video. Peace.